Da, 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 da. Yeah, it's become our theme song. Yeah. Okay, we are live. Alrighty, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you guys are in the world. And it is always my favorite show of the week is what we're going to do right now is the critique show. And I love hearing from you guys. So make sure you pop into the chat, tell us where you're from. And we're going to be looking at your photographs. You know that, right? So without further ado, listen, I am Marc Silber. I'm a photographer, author, and educator here in Carmel, California. And our show today is brought to you by our friends at Bay Photo. And here's some of their specials. Take advantage of these, you guys. The acrylic prints, 15% off. Those are really cool. You know, it's just a different look. And you might want to test one out and just see how you like it and hang one on your wall. And again, holiday time, make a calendar. They're awesome because people have your photographs for the whole year. You know, you put 12 or 13 usually because you have a cover photo and you have one for each month. That's a really cool gift and it gets your work out to the world. You can also get cards made, but I love calendars. I don't think we're going to do one this year, but we're going to definitely do cards. And then of course, 25% off on your first order. So take advantage of that. Okay, I'm going to start with a story, you guys. It's story time. There's the world map. So in 2008, just before, it's really there's a whole bigger story, but just before I launched AYP, we went to South Africa. And I'm going to zoom in here. That's, okay, that's where I'm pointing. That's South Africa down there. And what people generally do when they go to South Africa, one of the things they do is they go up to the bush here and take lots of photographs of wild animals, which I did. But this part of the story is a little different. We went to Cape Town, which is an amazing place, right here at the point. That's why it's called Cape Town, because it's at the Cape. You had to go, you have to sail around this. And then over here, east of Cape Town, is a little town called Hermanus. See that there? It's so beautiful. I can't tell you how beautiful this environment is. And what's really interesting is that this area over here is very similar to California, except like it's the same trees. We have eucalyptus trees. They have eucalyptus trees, except you have baboons running across the road, which we do not have in California. But a lot of this coastline really reminded me of California, and especially up here. French Hook is a beautiful, these are just so photogenic. It's a beautiful French town. That's why it's called French Hook. Anyway, I'm going to tell you the story of capturing this photograph. We were driving from Cape Town, going east around the Cape. And, it's always a challenge when we were with a couple of friends and my wife, and, they're not photographers. So I'm constantly looking out the window. I was driving and I'm always scanning and looking, wow, this could be really cool. And I came across this scene, which just blew my mind. I mean, look at that. Isn't that incredible? And of course, I had to swerve over, and it was a timing thing because you can see the sun is just about to disappear there. It's one of the things about a photograph is, if you wait, you're going to miss it. You could wait a few seconds and it's gone. So I knew I needed to capture this photograph, and I had my sole and only interest in getting out of the car, pulling over first, getting out of the car, and getting in place to shoot this photograph. Well, the traffic is coming from the other direction, and I stepped into the lane, which in America would not have been the ongoing, I would have had a little more leeway because I looked one direction, but I didn't look both directions. And I literally practically stepped into this car that was going by at about 60 miles an hour, close enough for me to just feel this wind blowing me back. I mean, it was not, it was touch and go, folks. But I went across the road, I captured this photograph, and we went on about our way. So the moral to this story is look at your environment. Watch out. It's not just because you want to not be run over by a car, which is a good enough reason, but also you may see something you wouldn't have seen if you look around and capture. Now, everything, this was the main show here. So there was no doubt about, where my center of interest was. But it's possible that by turning around, because that sun is blasting into, say, what was behind me, and sometimes that's the better photograph, what the sun is hitting, not necessarily, in this case, the sunset. So keep that in mind. Okay, Jared, so let's dive into our critique show.
Have we made sure that people are subscribed to us?
Thank you for reminding me. Don't forget,
No
folks,
problem.
subscribe and enable the bell because you don't want to miss any of our shows. And you got to do both, right, Jared? It doesn't automatically
Yep,
enable the
because
bell. See that? It's a
yeah,
two-step process.
YouTube's weird. They want to make it harder for us.
So you guys make sure you do both of those things, subscribe and enable the bell. Okay. All right.
All right, and if you want to have your images reviewed here on AYP, our critique show, just join the AYP Club and put your images with hashtag critique. I will be looking at the AYP Club. I'll throw in a link here, and I'm going to keep an eye on it, and I will be accepting people into the group. So it is not too late to have your photo looked at. There's the link. I've just put it in. And let's get started.
I love seeing you guys. Of course, hello, Chicagoland, Jared, and Roberto from Paris, and Amy. Good to see you guys are here. And let's take a look at your photographs. Okay, what's the story here?
All right, this one is from this is from Alaric, and they had posted a couple images from some of the events that they covered last year, and this is one of them.
So, I think the black and white works really well, and you've got everybody framed well within this frame. And to me, this is one of those linking or transitional photographs that could be part of a show or a series. By itself, it doesn't have a center of interest, but it's okay because I think if we're just showing here's this group of dancers, that's fine. But what I would like to see following it, either before or after, is perhaps one of these dancers that we're focused on. So in other words, we're going from a general, what we're calling here the location shot, establishing shot, they call it in cinematography. An establishing shot just shows you, the scene where you are. And this is, now we're moving in. We might even have a much wider shot of the whole area where this dancing, where this event is going on. That could be the establishing shot. Then we come in a little tighter and we see these 5 dancers. And then maybe the next one, we're focused on one of them, you see. So it forms a series. And that's how I see this photograph.
All right.
All right.
And then our next one that we've got, this is from Ahmed. And the story behind this one is the day when the revolutionaries celebrate. So this was taken August 2019. Sudanese people were celebrating the Freedom Yard for signing the constitutional document, which will pave the way for the establishment of a civil state after 30 years of a military state.
That's very cool. I love how you guys are getting out there into these, situations that wouldn't necessarily be the most comfortable place to be. I mean, this is not a hostile audience or a hostile crowd, but nonetheless, you're getting right in there with them. And, it's framed really well. I love these victory signs, peace signs. That's really cool. we've got 2 of them, and you actually got a whole bunch back here. There's this side. I mean, it's framed really well. It's a great image, and it's got a lot of energy going on because of these diagonal lines of the hands and the flag. That's definitely giving you the flag itself over here has got a diagonal line, and the stick that this flag is on, and then you've got this dove and the hands. It's a really spot on. I love it.
All right, our next one. This is from Chad, who is also in the chat. This was taken in an underground bar in Tokyo, Japan. Chad Tobin.
I remember last week's, right, Chad? Didn't we have one of yours?
Yep.
Yes.
We've had
Same
one.
girl, perhaps.
We've had a couple.
The girl with the white hat, right?
It might be. Chad, you're in the chat. Is this the same girl that you had taken the photo of before?
And, I love this series. I mean, we're getting to know you as a photographer, and you've got a very comical style. I love this. I mean, you've got it, it pops because we've got the girl with only that one eye showing, and she's looking right at, herself. But this guy in the background with whatever is going on there, it looks like a Cheech and Chong kind of thing, but I don't know exactly what's happening. And the bottles in the foreground, it works. This is a really cool. Oh, it's a different girl. Okay, well, it's cool. But there you are again. You're capturing a lot of this life as it's rolling out in front of us. There's nothing staged about this. But her, she's positioned well as the center of interest. We do have this guy behind her, which just makes me crack up. Great job. And it's it's very much capturing the moment of what's happening with her right there. And then she's not focused. She's not looking at you. It doesn't have any attention on you. She's doing what she's doing, and you're capturing that. So good job. Very cool shot.
All right. This next one comes from Wayne, and this was one that he took. It's my attempt at some sort of a social reportage photo. He's a Marine veteran, so this hit him really hard.
Yeah.
So he started a conversation with this veteran and took some photos as well.
Okay, good. So I see this as part of a series. I see this as one frame in maybe a series of 5. You're covering something. You're covering this situation of this, Marine Corps guy, ex-Marine Corps and veteran. And maybe, just before this, you were having a conversation with him. And while you're having the conversation, you might have photographed him as well. And you might just see kind of a whole little story going by here. Somebody hands him money. That's the way I see this, is, again, a part of a larger story. And,
and he does definitely do that, just to kind of pull up.
Yeah.
Here's another one.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
And then he took an extreme close-up.
Yeah, awesome. Right on. Okay, good. So that works really well in that regard. And the black and white helps tell the whole, there's a sadness to this guy, right? And I don't think anybody wants to find themselves in this situation. So there's kind of there's this feeling of sadness, there's an emotion, and the black and white definitely helps carry that emotion along with it. Suzanne had a question. How many photos have been critiqued so far? Hey, well, I guess you're just going to have to watch the video. What have we covered? 3?
I think so far, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's like 3.
Thanks for joining us.
You've not missed much. And you'll definitely want to check them out because there's some good photos.
Yeah.
All right. This one is from Vlad. He said it's a self-portrait he took during his quarantine after he had tested positive.
Oh.
So I think that's his medication that he's been taking for treating COVID.
Very powerful image, and that that being the case, that is even more powerful. So let us know is that in fact your medication that you're taking for COVID. I would assume so, and Jared assumed that. bam, what can I say? You did it. You nailed it here. It's a very powerful image, especially knowing what's going on, for us. But you wouldn't have to know anything. And photos should stand on their own without any caption or anything else. It's a little story, and that is a story in one image. You know what's interesting about it too? It's like I want to see the rest of your arm, but it's framed well. You know, it doesn't. We don't need to see it, but it's sort of like there's this mystery. Like, where did that arm go? And it comes back, and it's got this triangular framing to it. Of the arm. It's a lot of geometry going on here. But overall, it's a story within one single frame. So well done. And of course, black and white works beautifully here.
Yeah. All right. This one's from Hannah, was just posted a little bit ago. I went for a hike and did not come prepared for the scenery, but this is what I managed. Any critiques or suggestions?
So here, it's a beautifully staged shot. What I'm hungry for is where's the focal point. So Bob Holmes calls that a punctuation point. It would be like somebody walking on that path or something for my eye to go to, because you've set the table. You've set the table, and the table is beautiful. Now we need something on the table for our eyes to go to. And that's, this is, again, you guys have heard me say this is where patience is a virtue. Maybe you stand there for that scene is not going anywhere. The light isn't particularly crucial, but hopefully somebody's going to walk along that path, or a dog's going to run along that path, or somebody's going to ride a bicycle along that path, and you would have them perfectly framed. And it's a question of patience. Like yesterday, I was at the beach, and there was a sunset, and there was a kid on a not a surfboard. I forget what you call those things. You throw it down in the sand and you use skimboard. He was on a skimboard, and I caught him in different positions. Then he finally went right in front of the sun. It was just like perfect timing. Unfortunately, I was standing really far away, and all I had was an iPhone. So he's like this microscopic. It wouldn't work. Doesn't work. And iPhones are terrible with sunsets. At least, I don't know, maybe the 12 is better. But so you just have to be patient and wait. Something is going to come down that path, and that would complete your photograph. So just remember, sometimes you guys have the perfect setting, and you just have to wait around until something pops, something happens there. So keep shooting.
All right. Speaking of sunsets, this one is from Familia, and this one had a music inspiration. Every time I look at this picture, the thought leads me to Nina Simone's song "Feeling Good."
Oh, nice.
So it's called "Feeling Good."
And you have punctuation points with those gulls, and I use birds as punctuation points also. They work really well. Beautiful warm colors. Our eye is drawn to the warm light. By the way, you guys, I've been doing a lot of study of color and light. I am going to do a class on that because light is very interesting. Why light changes, it's a longer wavelength when we get into the golden hours. And when we're, midday, those wavelengths get shorter. And I think it's really interesting that somehow it's appealing. There's this gravitational pull towards that longer wavelength. Anyway, I'm gonna do a class on that. This works really well. I don't have anything. The sun, I like the line going to the sun, the reflection in the water, and I like the birds are your punctuation point, and the light coming through whatever this is, like an old church or something. And, good job.
All right. This is from Gaiden, and it's called The Forbidden Fruit, and he's got a great story. You should check it out on AYP Club about his process of how he'd visualized this aspect of a apple cut in half, and so he explains the process of basically taking that vision in his mind and making it into the photo that it is now. So it's a little too long to go into here, but I would highly recommend that you check it out. It's a great read of seeing how somebody takes something they visualize and then make it into a reality.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of you guys with black and white, it looks like a little bit of a sepia tone here, and I've noticed the black and whites we've seen so far are somewhat subtly softer. And this works really well in this image. So it's a perfect little still life of this apple that's getting aged quickly. It's been cut in half and it's sitting there, and it's clearly not just recently cut. You can see it wilting. Nope. It works really well. It's like a little design, and the fabric in the background also works. There's a contrast going on here. So good job with a still life. I think it's fantastic. Spot on. You guys are, again, it's interesting. Each time we do this, there's, we're coming up with different images, and I love it. I love that about our community. It's like I never know what I'm going to see. And I don't look at these ahead of time, by the way. So I want fresh eyes on these.
Yep, I'm the one that gathers up.
Jared gathers them, and I'm seeing them really for the first time.
Yeah. All right.
So just to get back to that point about light and color, yeah, that's going to be an AYP Plus show for sure. That's the kind of thing that we're going to be doing on AYP Plus. It's very different than a YouTube show because, spending a whole hour or 45 minutes, whatever it ends up being, on color theory and light may not necessarily resonate, in the YouTube world, but this is definitely something I want to dive into because there's so much to learn about it. There's so many aspects to color and light. Like, for instance, color is a compositional tool in itself. Strong color can be your composition, but also there's color associations. Different colors actually evoke different emotions. So we'll talk about all that stuff when we get to that. We'll see what's coming up. By the way, let me just mention this right now. We're doing a survey on what particularly you guys want in the AYP Plus library. In other words, what shows would you particularly like us to concentrate on, especially as we roll things out? So, Jared, would you stick the link in there? I really want to hear from all you guys. This is important because I'm going to use your survey results to plan the curriculum, the shows for the first month, the month of December, and probably beyond that as well. So help me help you. I want to zero in on exactly what your needs are. And also I'd like to get some feedback on the names and times and that sort of thing. So Jared, stick that link in there. Not now. Don't go off right now, please. But afterwards, go ahead, because we want to stay on our critique show. But afterwards, go in there and fill that out for me, okay?
Yep, I'll make sure that we put that at the end of the show as well.
Yeah.
So
let's keep rolling here.
All right. This is from Partha, and it's part of a bunch of different portraits that they posted.
That makes sense. Yeah, so that works really well. That is a wild coloration of this guy's hair and beard. And, you've blurred the background so we don't have anything distracting there. He's looking into the camera and he's exhaling smoke, which is interesting. and it definitely works. Works really well as a portrait, and I read into that immediately that it's part of a series, so that makes total sense. I love the variation of he's kind of got this shawl or a shirt or something only over his left shoulder. Yeah, and then there's this because my eye is kind of drawn to a lot of different things, but obviously he's the center of interest. I go right to him. When we see a person looking right at us, that's where our eyes are going to go. So first stop is his eyes and his face. Then I start looking around at the rest of it, which is very interesting as well.
All right, our next
Boom,
one.
another one. You guys are hitting home runs all over the place.
All right, so this one is kind of two images. It's a little something that we might normally do on the support show, but they are here live, and I know that they made an effort for it. So let's get to this one. So this is from Suzanne, and what they have is they kind of have a question to go with theirs.
Which is?
So they're drawn to more abstract work.
Uh-huh.
And so, and they said this shot may not be 100% best example, but the other night they were shooting silhouette of a tree line and clouds from a setting sun. One shot had a faster shutter speed and one was slow. I prefer the abstract slow one. I won't go until I like it, as I'd love to hear why you do or don't like it, and if you think it works. So this is the less abstract one. This is the more abstract one.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm going to put them side by side here.
Well, I like the more abstract one for sure. The one on the left, what's missing here is the center of interest. If we're going to be taking a portrait of a tree, move in, just like you would with a person. So the tree that, stands out to me is the one, right here in the center. I would just move in and we're going to take a portrait of that tree. Fine. The abstract one I find much more interesting. It's just got more interest in it, we do have, a kind of a key point. It looks like a barn or something here. That one's a complete photograph. The other one, it's like, where should my eye go? Because I'm seeing a lot of trees. I see the telephone pole. I just don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at. The abstract one, even though I guess you could say the barn is the center of interest. It in itself is, because you're giving me an abstract photograph, it has that whole thing is its own center of interest. So that works really well for me. So I would say either on your left-hand side, move in tighter for the portrait, or boom, stick with the abstract. I like that one. Slow shutter speed. Camera motion too, it looks like. It looks like we're moving in a car even. Are you moving in a car? Are you walking? It looks like you are adding motion to this scene as well. Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, you like the abstract one, so go with what you like. That's also really important. It's your art. It's what you're putting out to the world. So always go with what you, not what we can get too hung up in what's somebody else going to think about this? Who cares? It's like what you are telling the world. You're showing me an image that says, this is what I saw and this is what I experienced. And the one on the left is just a recording. The one on the right is you. You're in it. You're in this photograph. Very important.
All right. For our next one, it looks like Nemi is being dethroned as the youngest photographer in the community. Her younger brother Noah is now getting some images in here. So this was taken 3 weeks ago by Noah Persson, who is Magnus's son. I'm not sure if this is his dad here or not. I think it is, but yeah, hung out with me to take pictures
that's cool.
for the first time with his dad. So here's one of his first images, and I
I
know
love it,
Noah
Noah.
is in the chat. He said hi earlier, so
Well, Noah, welcome to the show, and I love this image. There's that look, you know, with his eyes. I don't know what that look is exactly. If he's just being playful or whatever, but it works really well. And definitely a black and white makes it, work in this image. It's great. You framed it well. He's looking right at us, which again is a very obviously a powerful way to present somebody in a portrait. Um, but then, on the other hand, we saw that earlier example from Tokyo, where she's looking at the mirror. So it's just, but we're in both cases we're seeing the eyes, and it's very funny. It's a playful. I find this, that look very playful, and obviously you guys have a strong connection. So that's great. I love this. I love this image. And again, welcome to being, as far as we know, now the youngest. Oh, it's not.
okay. So it's
We
Dad's
stand
friend.
corrected. It's a friend. Okay, cool. Fine.
Still good image.
It's still a great image. Yeah. Okay. So welcome to being now the youngest. We'll throw down a
I
challenge and
think
see if
I think 10's a new record, I'd say.
10 is our new record. So let's see if we can find somebody 9 to show up here. That's great. 10 years old, you're off to a fantastic start.
All right. This one is from Ram, and it is The Last of Fall.
Yeah, well there's your punctuation point. If that weren't there, it wouldn't be anything, right? It would just be kind of a net, like a fish net almost of leaves or branches. But that works perfectly because there's our center of interest and there's our punctuation point. Um, Everything else is just kind of like a design around it. And it's pretty cool how that leaf just got caught right in the center in that oval. That's great. What a great photograph. Boom.
Uh,
I love what you
all
guys are
right.
doing.
This one is from Roberto. I don't have any notes here. I might have forgotten to get the notes, but here's his image.
Roberto, okay. I like this image. I like the leading lines and the silhouette. The only thing I don't like it so much is I feel like you either need to move in a little bit more or crop off this cab, because the cab just pulls my eye away from the main subject, which is the girl. So I've got kind of split attention going on there between the cab and the girl. Just remember, you guys, when you're like, photography is like talking. And if you are vague, and this isn't a vague photograph at all, but if you're talking about two things at once, it can confuse like hey, look over there at the tree and the dog. Okay, which one do you really want me to look at, the tree or the dog? Yeah, I want you to look at the dog, but there's also a tree there. So you see what I mean? Like, I want to look at the girl. You've set her up beautifully on the walkway with the leading lines. Let's just go with that. And I would say, yes, you could crop it. Better yet, move in. Just move in tighter and get rid of the cab. That would make a better frame, because when you crop it, it's going to be kind of a narrow, skinny little frame here. Be better to just move forward, maybe drop your angle even lower so we've got, we're looking up at her. Could be really cool because you've got her framed between these buildings, so that works really well. And you've also got her on the leading lines. So just go with that. But you can definitely fix that with a crop, but I would say move in tighter would be even better. Okay.
All right. This one, and they did mention in the chat that this was on the way to Times Square.
Amazing, isn't
So,
it? How few people, what
yeah,
times.
you normally never would be able to get an image like
No,
that.
Times Square
Even
is jammed full of people. And although you do see people on the edge of the frame here, it's just definitely a statement of where we are right now.
yeah, definitely. All right. This one is from Richard. No caption with it, I believe.
So another black and white and another sepia-ish. I don't know. Is that, or is it just the way it's
I think it's just black and white.
okay? Because it's got a little tone to it the way I'm seeing it, but I don't know if that's just because the way it's, we're presenting it here. So this is the mother and daughter, I assume here. What I would like to see here, again, this could be a series of photographs, and this would serve well as one of those series. I'd rather go tighter in with the little girl, and I'd rather see her be the stronger center of interest because we're seeing both of them, but I can't quite see the mom's expression, so I don't quite have the same feeling I have as looking at the little girl. I would just say maybe your next, this is a series. The next one is maybe over the mom's shoulder, so we're getting her point of view, and we could see her shoulder, so we could see we're kind of looking at it from the mom's viewpoint. And it might be interesting to do the same thing from the little girl. Get the shot of the little girl's from her shoulder looking up at the mom. But again, I do see this as a single frame in a series of photographs. So I would just want to see, the little girl seems to me to be the stronger one of the two. I would just punch in on that, go in a little closer. As I said, you could try over the shoulder. I think that would work really well.
All right. This one is from Jose. At a Black Lives Matter rally.
Okay, very cool. You got a lot going on here. You've got in Dallas. So the most interesting, there's a lot of different people. I'd say, which one do you want me to look at? Which one should I really be paying attention to? Of all these, I would say this girl here is the most interesting to me. I don't know what she's wearing. It almost looks like she's...
Would that be this person?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's in a bathing suit or tights or something. I would probably go with this and get close and maybe shoot up at her as the main center of attention, because you've got a pretty dramatic pose there. I mean, we've got a lot going on here, but I would move in here. And again, this could be one of these series of photographs. We're taking it farther back, and then we get really tight under, shooting up could be really an interesting dramatic shot, or over from this side. Maybe might even be better from this side, because then we could see more of her front. But I would just get closer in and maybe blur out, use a shallow depth of field and blur out these people behind her, just so that we're focused again on one main center of interest. That would be my recommendation there.
All right. Here's one that's a little different. So this one's from Carlos Sylvia. And Carlos Sylvia made this from...
Oh, you stitched
4 photos.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a panoramic from 4 photos. This was taken in Portugal, 2007, at a magician show.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is, again, what I see is a, part of a series. This is a wide shot that you've stitched together. This is an establishing shot or a wide shot. But I'd like to go, in closer to what this guy is doing. He's the center of interest. Or I think you just needed to wait and pick him when he's doing something that's like his hands are in the air, or something where there's a moment. They're all looking at him, but he's not really doing anything in this frame. I wouldn't know he's a magician. I just think he's a guy with a table. But if you had something where, boom, a dove popped out of his hands, or there was a card or something, there was a moment there, And you'd want to just keep firing away with your camera until you got that decisive moment. It's happening for the audience because they're seeing him in motion, but for us, we need to just see something happen, which would also be your punctuation point, as Bob Holmes calls it. But you set the stage, keep shooting until that stage is something happens on it.
All right. This one is from Anderson Santana. He recorded it in the Gothic Quarter in Barcelona on a street photography session.
Yeah, I love Barcelona. Okay, let me look at this. Ah, yes, okay. Well, there's your, the framing, the leading lines leading up to the bicycle is the point of interest, clearly. I would probably get rid of these posts here because they kind of, it's funny, an object in a photograph will do what it does physically. So in this case, it's there to stop cars from going through, but it also stops my eye from going through. See what I mean? So I would either crop here, just get rid of that. You want to lead the lines into the center of interest, which is the guy on the bicycle. So either you take a couple more steps forward, but the photograph's already done. You could easily just crop these out. And then, boom, my eye is just led right into that. In fact, would you do that? Just crop it and then put it back into the AYP Club and let's have a look at it. Because that's
So cropping these out?
Yeah, super easy fix. Do you see what I mean? How your eye kind of gets stopped there? And we don't want to stop. We want it to go all the way through and see the guy on the bicycle. Easy fix. Put it in the AYP Club after you've done that.
All right. This one is from Glenn. And so this was part of a series of different photos that he was making in San Francisco, I believe it was. And in the original caption that he had put back when he originally posted this last year, he said that he was taking snapshots in a restaurant that he had before, and he didn't think that anybody would mind. Turns out that was not the case.
This guy's pissed off. I think, what are you doing with a camera in my kitchen? Yeah, I mean, there's the emotion right there. I think it works great. It's like we're seeing the hustle and bustle behind, what they're cooking in this pizza kitchen, and this one guy is like, get out of here. Oh, I see. They're servers. I get it. So this is like, there's the counter, and they've got pizza ovens behind them, and the guy over here in motion with the hat. That it works really well in black and white. But boom, we've got the emotion coming right through that image. So, good job. And of course, that's the center of interest, right? Your eye goes right to that guy pointing at you, like, whoa, okay. And you've got lines, diagonal lines, which add to the motion and the feeling of the energy in this scene. That's good. We'll take a few more, and then we're going to call it a day.
Yeah. So this one is from Jared, Chicagoland Jared, on a frosty photo walk that he took with Bethan. Shooting in RAW, but using the black and white Sony profile to compose in camera, seeing it in black and white, and the various leaves and frost formation was what led his composition in this.
Interesting. So you actually could see that as a black and white in the camera. Okay, yep. I think that's cool. But it still records as a raw image. It's just how it's being shown on the screen. Okay, interesting. Well, Jared, it's a very interesting photograph, but you probably know what I'm going to say. I'm sorry. I don't know what my center of interest is because it's a lot going on. So something needs to say this leaf or this bug or this particular thing is where I'm most focused on. So that's my only feeling. It's like, again, the stage is set. where do you want my eye to go? Because I can kind of run around the whole thing and see interesting texture, interesting leaves, but something, maybe a spot of color or a difference or a bug on that leaf or a bird, or, you know what I mean? Something that adds to that, just says, look here. But you've got the stage set. So
I wonder, just kind of my own personal throwing in my 2 cents. It seems like this is where your eye should be drawn to.
yeah,
And I wonder if there's any kind of like additional processing that you could do to kind of draw the eye towards it. Because like Mark said, you've got a lot of interesting stuff here. I feel like there's something. Maybe if you check
it's
out
possible.
Doten talks a lot about that in Doten's video, because he did a lot of things to draw people to a specific person.
Yeah. In this
So
case,
I wonder if
it
you could
may
do that here.
be, if that color, for instance, the color of the leaf could be the thing that draws your eye there. So because it's already black and white, we don't have any reason to see that leaf standing out. But let's say it's bright orange, like we had that previous example, it's something that highlights that one particular leaf would be for sure something that could draw your eye. So I would,
Or like what your photo in Paris of that car, where the car
right.
is red
Yeah,
and everything else. So maybe if you only had the color of the
it's
leaf.
possible. But anyway, maybe go back and look at it as a color and see if that's a really strong color, then they definitely would pull your eye there. But in either case, I would just say, yeah, let's just find that center of interest and have it pop out.
Yeah. If you play around with it, definitely post
Yeah,
what kind
any
of
of these
results you get.
that we're doing, and suggestions, I'd love to see what you guys take away from it that you might want to repost and let us take a look at it. Okay.
All right. Let's do. This is from Andrew Whitcomb, I think it is, who lives over in the UK. So this was I think this was one that he did there, or he did this. I'll find the information.
Yeah, very interesting photograph. We've got the photographer on the left. We've got the girl being
This is in Paris.
Okay, sex work. So, there's her message right in the center of the frame, or not exactly in the center, but center of interest. These diagonal lines of these other guys, it works really well because we're getting a slice of this scene. And I would also say that it's, part of a larger story. Could be very interesting. And you obviously shot a lot of other images. So, but this works really well. It's a standalone piece on its own, but it also will fit into the bigger story. So it definitely works.
All right. This one's from Julian, who, as you guys may remember, is in photojournalism class, and he's been taking a lot of photography on many of the protests going around. So this is one of his images for that.
So listen, beautifully well lit backlight. This is out and about, right? I don't know where that light is coming from.
Yep,
but
it's outside.
yeah, this is not a studio photograph. This is. I'd love to see her in action, though. She's kind of in between, and I'd love to see some more emotion or action on her face. It's a little tricky because she's holding the megaphone up to her mouth. We're not going to see anything. But, maybe there's just another moment where she's about to start speaking, or she's just been speaking and the megaphone is now pulled away a little bit. But we see like she's getting ready to talk, but it's a moment just before or just after. Could be very interesting as far as like getting that image to speak, to tell us the story. But it's framed beautifully. I mean, I love the way it's framed. I love that backlighting. It's awesome. I'd be interested to see if you have some other frames right along that same path, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, she's looking at the camera, or something happens that just, it's that decisive moment.
All right, this one's from Bob Ralph, who did a post commenting on missing being able to shoot at musical performances. And so this is one from before the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah, Bob. Listen, the great, well composed. Listen, the only problem I have with it, the microphone's sharp and he's not. Now, I don't know if you did that on purpose, or that's just where your autofocus went to the microphone. I'd rather see him in focus and the microphone out of focus. I want to see this guy a little clearer, and he might be in motion as well. It's interesting because, it's a focus thing, because I can see, like, for instance, the stripes on his shirt on the shoulder are also in focus. You had a really shallow depth of field here, and it didn't give you a lot of latitude. So do you have another version of this where, the guy is sharp? Even if the guitar is out of focus, whatever, I want to see his face, that's all. But compositionally, it works really well, and that would be my only technical point.
All right, we got time for one more, I think.
Do one last one.
All right, this one comes from Julian Ray, who shared an awesome story about his work. Part of his job is working for international non-government groups, tourist publications, travel groups. And so sometimes he gets assignments that are really challenging. This one was he was going to a Buddhist monastery system in Myanmar and documenting the lives of Myanmar orphans. And so he spent 6 months living in various monasteries and getting to know these kids.
Wow, 6 months. And so
this is one of the photos. Yeah, talk about we've talked about
immersion.
Long-term projects.
Yeah,
that's a long-term project. So this is said that this girl's amazing attitude, joy, humor, and unstoppable curiosity was an example of how the human spirit can overcome anything given a little bit of help, love, and support.
It definitely shows that right off, and I think this is a fantastic image. You've got that joy coming out of her. You've handled depth of field beautifully, since we see people we're not focused on. The colors are awesome. Her arm, the gesture of her arm, and the twinkle in her eye. It's a beautiful photograph, and it really shows exactly. We don't have to hear all that stuff, but that helps. But the photograph itself expresses everything in that one image. This is for sure a standalone image, even though it's part of a series. And this is a good example, you guys, of what we're going to be doing in the mentoring class. And I'm going to basically ask you to pick a project that you're going to work on over a 13-week period. Now, it could be that you've already taken these photographs, and what you want to do over the 13-week period is edit them and then put them together in a sequence. That's quite possible. I'm not going to tell you that every one of those photographs has to be brand new. I would like to see some new photographs just as part of it, just so we're critiquing newer images that you could, 1 week bring in, something new along with an existing project, for instance. Anyway, that's a perfect example of immersing yourself in a single subject. In this case, the Buddhist, is it an orphanage? Is that what I was hearing?
Yep, yeah. This is an orphanage in Myanmar.
A Buddhist orphanage. Awesome. Picking a particular, location, subject that you're following along is really a powerful way to develop your photography, to advance your photography. I consider that's essential. And you'll hear that from all these people I've interviewed. You hear that they develop projects. They are either because they're on an assignment like a National Geographic shoot, or they're putting their work together like Doton Sagai, into a book. But they're doing it, they're carrying out a project which has a beginning and a middle and an end. And that really helps elevate your photography to the next level. So I'm really excited about that and having you guys join. Well, listen, once again, bravo, you guys, all you folks who submitted your work. I'm super happy with what you're doing. And I want to just thank you. And I really hope you guys all join AYP Plus, because it's going to take this whole experience to a whole new level. What we're going to have is we're going to have a weekly class. It's going to be Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. It's when we're dealing with international times, it's really hard to find exactly the right time for everybody. But we found that this time at 10 a.m. Pacific works. Tuesday, we don't currently have a show, so we're going to make that the AYP Plus show. You will have to be a member to see it. It will be live, but it will also live in our library. So you can access it any time later if you don't catch it live. And they're going to be on a specific subject. So let's just say, I'm not saying this is the first show, but I talk about visualization and the power of visualization and why it's so important. But I've never devoted a whole show to what it means to visualize and what examples of visualization and how you can use, this to develop your visualization and what inspiration I get from different books and that sort of thing. And that's all, 1 hour show. Another example would be, we've heard Dan Milner talk about blurb books and that sort of thing, but we haven't really gotten him down to show us from beginning to end, Dan, So that's a show. So a lot of practical stuff that you wouldn't see anywhere else. So that's coming up. The community is going to be a more in-depth community. We've actually asked some of you guys to be our beta testers to test it out. And then the mentoring class will be a much smaller private mentorship with me, meeting with you guys once a week and following along on your projects. So that's all coming up next week, the 25th. We're going to launch it. So stay tuned for that. And Jared, what else? Do we have any other messages? Don't forget the survey. I really want you guys to take that survey. And if you have,
we got an awesome show tomorrow.
Oh,
that's
thank you. Yes, Julia. We were just on a pre-call with her. Wow, does she do fantastic work? In fact, Jared, while I'm yakking here, would you bring up her website on your screen?
Oh,
remember, she wanted to talk about her fine artwork. Let's just show these guys some examples because it's really amazing work. And we got a little taste of how she gets inspired and how she puts this stuff together. I don't see. Let me know when you get it up there, and I'll pop over to that screen. In the meantime, one other thing I'd like you guys to do, if you haven't already bought my book, would you buy it? Here's my little video. I wrote my book, Advancing Your Photography, to give you a complete system to get inspired, learn composition, lighting, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I've got the ebook on sale right now. Go to advancingyourphotography.com. A really good book. I mean, I put years, not just a year, years of work into that book. And you can get it for $4.95 anywhere in the world. You can download it instantly and start reading it. Were you able to find? There we go. Okay, this is some of her work. We're going to talk about this photograph, specifically how she created it. It's got quite a story behind it. Anyway, so we're going to be interviewing her from London live. Yeah, it's very cinematographic work. It's just pretty amazing stuff. And
she has a great system for visualizing too, it seems.
She does. And we're going to talk to her tomorrow at 10 a.m. Please tune in. You know, this is also really applicable to us during the lockdown because you could create some of these images yourself. Not, you don't have to create images like hers, but you can do your own. She stages these, and you could stage your dogs and your friends and your family and come away with something pretty interesting. So she's tomorrow at 10 a.m. Please join us, you guys. Bring your questions. Fantastic. A fantastic photographer. Set your reminder. Don't forget to set a reminder so you don't forget about it. Okay, well, listen, I think we've covered just about everything except to say remember to subscribe and enable the bell so you don't miss anything. Share, like, leave your comments. We always love your comments and answer them. We've got a new logo for AYP Plus that has Capture Life in it. Could you pop that up there, Jared? Let's just show them, give them a sneak
Yeah, let me
preview.
grab that. I got it here.
So you'll see that the Capture Life slogan has there it is, and that's AYP Plus and Capture Life. We're using this for now. We may switch over to a different one, but that's been my logo for AYP for about a decade, and I don't really like to switch logos because you kind of get used to them, but it's got the new AYP Plus look to it. Pretty cool.
Yep. So get ready for that live stream on Wednesday. We'll be making it available, and you guys will be able to start signing up.
That's right. Okay, well, listen, I love you guys. Stay safe, well, stay creative, and remember, say it with me, remember to get out and capture your own images of life. See you guys tomorrow, okay? Fill out that survey. Take care. Buy my book.